INT, Yankton.
Good Saturday morning here on KYNT. I am Brayden Butler, and this is Huddling with the Herd, talking about Yankton, Bucks and Gazelles athletics. Fall season wrapping up for a few different sports, so we got end-of-season reviews for Bucks and Gazelles soccer as well as Bucks golf this morning. And, of course, we're talking to the coaching staff for Yankton High School football. They're in the building after a big 31-7 win over T-Area yesterday. Couple snippets from that game, almost 300 yards passing for Tate Bestie, 290 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. Did have 2 interceptions as well, but still an overall great day for the quarterback. Easton Feeser had a scoop and score on a fumble recovery, and Tegan LaCroix with 3 interceptions, some heavy hitters for the Bucks yesterday. We'll talk all about that when we bring coaches in here on Huddling with the Herd. Of course, like I said, we have end-of-season wrap-ups for Bucks golf, Bucks soccer, and Gazelles soccer. We're talking to Brett Syme, Dane Hansen, and Tyler Schuring, all respectively today on Huddling with the Herd. Should be another great weekend here on KYNT and KYN-TV. Let's wrap up another week of Yankton High School athletics. When we come back in a couple minutes, we'll have the head coach of the Bucks football program, Brady Muth, and defensive coordinator, Justin Olson, here in the booth. Back in a couple minutes, this is Huddling with the Herd, KYNT, KYN-TV.
Mount Marty is committed to excellence in nursing.
We really go the extra mile to care for our students as a whole person. My name is Crystal Diedrichsen. I am an associate professor of nursing at Mount Marty. As a Catholic Benedictine university, we can incorporate God and prayer in our regular classwork and interactions with students. And in addition to that, we care about the students in other aspects of their lives.
Start your journey at mountmarty.edu.
FNBO is the great big small bank. And for more than 165 years, we've been with you where you are. A bank that's ready for all your needs, both big and small. Here to help you earn more, save more, so you can do more every step of the way. It's what you can expect from the great big small bank. FNBO, independent and family owned for 6 generations, and ever so focused on you. Stop on by or visit us at fnbo.com, member FDIC.
We're passionate about getting yearly mammograms because 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. You can get a yearly mammogram to detect it early. Would it help if I requested nicely? Please, could you be so kind as to get a mammo? Or singing it. Get your mammogram starting at 40. Or with a British accent. Schedule your mammo with an Avera Breast Center at avera.org/breast. Or call 888-422-1410.
Parker of Yankton is powering progress, and you can be part of it. We're adding 2 new production lines and expanding our team with a product and a mechanical engineer, plus material handlers, line techs, and assemblers for both shifts. We offer paid vacation, medical, dental, vision, and life insurance. Enjoy quarterly profit sharing, 5% 401k match, and a fully paid retirement income account. Join a company where innovation meets opportunity, right here in Yankton. Be part of something bigger. Apply now at parker.com/careers.
Parker, engineering your success.
Olson Pest Technicians is a family-owned business since 1966, and with over 50 years of pest management, they understand your issues, and their well-trained team will help you solve your pest problems. Issues with cockroaches, ants, bedbugs, bats, termites, spiders, rats, mice, or other creepy crawling pests? Olson Pest Technicians can treat and cure them. Right now, they can provide grain fumigation on the farm and do one-shots for homes to keep pests out for the winter. Call Olson Pest today, 800-KIL-BUGS.
Welcome back in here on Huddling with the Herd. We're talking Yankton Bucks football. Got head coach Brady Muth and defensive coordinator Justin Olson here in the booth right now. Coaches, big win last night, 31-7 over T area. Not only just is it nice to pick up a win against a tough team in T, but also really helps in the standings as we're heading to the last week of the season. Coach Muth, we'll start with you. What are your initial thoughts coming now a couple hours after that big win?
Well, I mean, this is kind of like the first round of the playoffs. Essentially, last night felt like a playoff game, and in essence, like you said, it was a playoff game because there's things that are riding on the line, and I think just going into this part of the season, the thing that I'm most pleased with this group of guys is that they realize where they're at and they realize what the moment is. And, this week was a really good week of practice, and I thought our guys did a really good job of locking in and understanding what they needed to do on, assignment-wise, both offensively and defensively, and just really good, crisp practice, even up to the walkthrough. Friday, yesterday before we had to crane, the walkthrough was crisp, and communication has been, at a premium. And so I think you're starting to see a team that's really starting to evolve and start to kind of figure themselves out. And we talked about this. I mean, a lot of these guys, this is their first year starting. So to know where you're at in this part of the season, you're kind of in maybe a little bit uncharted waters. And so to be able to perform the way they did last night, I think speaks a lot about this group of guys.
Yeah, we talked to Coach Huber about that in the post-game show. We'll talk about, obviously last night was senior night near the end of this segment, but talked about that while that big senior class was making their last walk across the field and everything. And it's like, these are guys who waited their turn and had to learn behind guys, and now are getting to execute at the highest level. Yeah,
and that's why it's so satisfying to watch people put their time in, and then when it's time to cash out, get it. And it's been a lot of fun.
Looking at the defensive side of the ball, you knew it would be a run-heavy offense for the Titans. They had two different guys who had 15 carries by themselves, so it's 30 combined carries, which for two guys, 48, I believe, total rushes here. Yeah, 43 total rushes for the Titans yesterday. That's something I know you guys repped heavy in practice this past week, trying to stop that run and that triple option that they like to go with.
Yeah, coming in, right after – Brookings, we have, this game with T, and then to follow up, we have another one with Mitchell, kind of the same kind of scenario, that we need to stop the run. And we, for the most part, did, we struggled with one of the concepts, up the middle, on a dive, and actually bent off tackle. They did a real nice job of blocking that. But fundamentally, we have some things to tweak a little bit, and maybe a little bit on some discipline side of some things, as far as understanding what's happening and just trusting your eyes and just going and just doing your job to clean up some things. But it's coming. I mean, I thought that once we got into our heavier set, we stopped to run up a little bit more, and we have the guys to do it, and we just have to have everything just kind of click. And they flash here and there. But, credit to T, they have hard running. And you saw, we had to bring all 11 hats to the ball. And sometimes they're still standing. So we just got to keep on work. Point of emphasis before Mitchell is going to be, let's fly the football. Let's get the ball carriers down to the ground and don't have any busts. Because if we avoid those big plays, especially for a team that doesn't necessarily throw the ball as well, like T, they want to put the ball up. And we had some success, with our secondary. We know that we're gonna face ground and pound, and essentially they weren't afraid to run the ball even on third and longs, and that's kind of like their big hitters were their pass plays, essentially. So that's what they're counting on, and it's when you look at the stat line as a defensive coach, you see the rushing total, and you kind of like a little frustrated, but what these kids will put in work, just like Coach said, we're senior led. And we'll get in there and we'll work hard to get it fixed. And I have full faith in our guys that we can stop the run and be a productive defense.
I made the joke to you off air, but I'll repeat it for our listeners at home. I asked Coach Olson as he was walking in the booth if the team was gonna work on turnovers this week, since they only forced 6 last night. So I don't know if that's enough for your liking, but four interceptions and 2 fumble recoveries. Defense was taking that ball away often.
Well, that any defensive coordinator in defense, any coach would love to have turnovers, and flip the field, and even got one in there for a scoop and score, which is great, which we practice, and so it's fun to see those, come to fruition and be like, all right, hey, we work on this, and we see them, going and getting after it, the concepts, and it starts in practice. It's kind of fun to see that in practice when we go over the concepts, what their past concepts and run concepts and whatnot, and then to see maybe them bust a couple times during practice, and like, all right, then we talk it over, and then all of a sudden, on that same play, they read and recognize it, and then they go and get the ball, and snatch it out of the air, or everyone gets to the ball and gets fit, and relentless pursuit, which I think could still be a little better, but that's what happens when you get all 11 hats to the ball. Good things happen for us, and 6 turnovers, I like it. 12. I mean, sure.
You can always have more if you want.
But and it's great, and the kids love it. They get excited, and it energizes anywhere from the crowd to the offense. They're excited to get out there and do their thing, and they capitalized last night on some of those turnovers too. So yeah, very excited that these guys like to fly around crowds turnovers.
I like to talk about as many different guys as possible, because it is obviously the sum of the parts is what makes this team go. But one guy who every time he touches the ball feels like he is lightning in a bottle, Tegan LaCroix. I think both of you guys can attest to how great of an athlete he is. He had 3 interceptions, a couple kick returns, the opening kickoff. Every time he gets the ball and starts cutting across the field, I'm just assuming he's going to find a gap and make a big gain. So he is an electric player to watch.
And I mean, Abe was healthier than we expected last night, and so Tegan's role on the offensive side, there's some wrinkles in there that we've got that we haven't put on film yet, which is fine. But I mean, Tegan and everybody's excited when he gets in the game, and I think for people outside of the program, I don't know if they, we see Tegan in all facets. We see him not just in football, but he competes in basketball. We see him on the track in the spring. He just is an elite competitor, and he's talented, and I don't want to take away anything from his athletic abilities, but just his mindset and just the guts that he's got. He is just a tough-nosed kid that likes to win and will do whatever he needs to do to make sure he gets a win for his team.
I want to talk about your guys as seniors now. Obviously, senior night last night. It is one of my favorite things. Excuse me. It's one of my favorite things every year to see the last walk of the group of seniors, and they almost stretched sideline to sideline last night. You got a big group of guys, so just kind of talk about your senior class and what they've meant to the program. I know we've talked at length about them. A lot of guys waiting for their turn and now shining. Yeah,
I think the senior class, and I think what you're seeing is, and this is not a commentary on any other year but this year, but this is a group of guys that you're starting to see that they understand the gravity of the thing that they've got a hold of now, and they're really appreciating it, and it's been fun to watch. I mean, we talked about this actually last week in practice, how, Owen Eidsness made his bones on the scout team for the last 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, last year you could see it coming in, and he played, he was a good player for us last year and had some catches and made some big plays for us. But the guy that you're seeing on the field right now, and he epitomizes this senior class, those guys were all built in really, really, really hard work, and some of it not so much fun. And so when you've got a group of guys that will own that part of the way our program works and understand the value of it there and understand why working is important, the example that they set for everybody, you can't buy that in a bottle, man. That is so valuable to what we need for our program. And these guys, that's the thing I'm the most proud of them is we see them work, but then you see results on the field, and it's easy to explain the equation when you have results like this. And so for these guys to have the success, the senior class, to have the success that they're having, and to see that the impact that they're making on our program, I'm just real thankful to be a part of the program and to have them in our program.
Yeah, and it's a true testament of kind of how the program's built. And as Coach was speaking, I was just thinking about kind of the little things that we hope that the rest of the community sees, the rest of the Bucks and Gazelles see, that you don't have to have instant success in day and age of instant gratification. It's so hard to teach these kids that, hey, you got to wait your turn, and if you wait your turn, you can't just quit on it. You got to work. Okay, if you don't like where you're at, you got to work for it. And all these seniors, like we all mentioned, have waited their turn and worked for it, they could see what their goal was, and if someone was in their way, they're going to try to outwork that person. So to all of the young listeners and the parents and stuff like that are listening, they got to put in the work, and if you put in the work, you're going to see the results. But I tell my son a lot of times that you're not just going to roll out of bed and be a superstar. You're going to put some work into it.
Yeah.
And these kids now with social media and stuff like that, they just think that they're just going to walk out and be a D1 recruit and just wake up and, just go to the gym, bounce the ball a little bit and whatnot. But if they were watching this group, these seniors could tell their story to some of these kids, said that would hit home, and that's what we kind of hope, and that's what kind of our program's kind of built on as far as that goes. Is let's see where the meat and potatoes are, and if you do everything right and work hard, okay, it's going to blossom into something fruitful, and so hopefully we're starting to see that, especially with the 7-7 stuff that we do too, and we're on the right track, and we just hope that, like I said before, that people are paying attention, and it's a great thing to be a part of, and very blessed to have great seniors and senior leaders that we do have on this team.
It really feels like sky could be the limit for not only the senior class, just the program as a whole this year. But I know you guys don't look too far ahead. You still got one more regular season game on the road, Joe Quintal Field next week against the Mitchell Colonels. I remember a few weeks ago I made a joke and put my foot in my mouth. I was talking about travel. There are no easy games in 11 AA. but Mitchell this week, what are you guys looking forward to, just to go up there and take care of business and end the regular season on a high note?
Yeah, Coach alluded to this a little bit. I mean, it's going to be a lot of the same similar play that on offense. They run a wing system, and so it's a run-heavy team. This is the thing that we have to understand about Mitchell. They're a big physical team, and if you just get caught up in their record, you're going to miss the boat. You got to dig into film, and even if you look at the scores, you got to dig into film, and you have to look at the way that they operate. They're a big physical team that pushes people around. They're definitely, Mitchell has kind of struggled to find their identity, I think, especially offensively last couple of years, and I think they've got it figured out at this point. They know who they are, and they play to their strengths, and so defensively, the one advantage we have is we've seen a team that runs, some kind of a pin-pull wing operation here now 3 weeks in a row. So that bodes well for us, but we have to be ready and locked in to play a physical football game. I know our offensive line is excited to get back at the opportunity to run the football, and they got challenged a little bit last night against a very, very tough situation. I mean, I thought, we ran the ball effectively. I think that's the best way to put it. You have to throw the ball, and between the guys that are pulling the trigger and Coach Huber calling the plays, you got to have guts to call those plays against that front, whether it's a run or it's a pass play. You have to have guts to do that. And we played very confidently. We got to get more physical, and that's going to be the message here starting today here in about 10 minutes.
I know I've taken a lot of your guys' time this morning, but I appreciate you coming in as you have all season long. Something that I hope doesn't get lost in translation with Mitchell this week. I don't know if they mathematically can still get into the playoffs or not, but this is a do or die situation for Mitchell. Like, it could be either their last chance to get in or their last game of the season. So this is going to be a different mindset.
Right. And listen, you need a PhD to figure out the PowerPoint system.
Yes.
And I'm just a history teacher by trade. So I don't even bother looking at that stuff. But I think you speak to that point exactly. It does not matter the situation. Mitchell is going to be coming for blood. This is a close community to us. I don't know if I want to call it a rival, but same size of town, and we're really the closest DSD school. That's the closest DSD school that we have, and so, I mean, and they're an original ESD member, and so there's a lot of reasons that Mitchell wants to win this football game, and we have to understand that in the end, it's going to be a physical fight, and we've got to be the more physical team.
All right, Coach Muth, Coach Olson, thanks for coming in today. Congrats on the big, excuse me again. Congrats on the big win last night, and good luck next week against Mitchell. We'll talk to you after that one as well.
Right, you bet. Thanks.
Thanks, Brayden.
We're here on Huddling with the Herd, back in a couple minutes to keep things rolling.
Lucky for us, life is full of choices, big and small. They define us, make us who we are. And when it comes time for you to choose, a car, home, your next big adventure, or start a new business. Farmers Union Insurance has the variety of coverage options to protect each perfect moment. Farmers Union Insurance.
For coverage you can count on, call Brendan Hansen or Brandon Tycro in Yankton today.
If you've been suffering from chronic pain or a recent injury, check us out, Lane, Reed, and Cole Sawatsky at SWAT Chiropractic and Rehab.
We offer a wide variety of treatments and techniques, including dry needling, cupping, chiropractic adjustments, and sports rehabilitation.
Our mission is to ensure an individualized and efficient treatment plan to get you back on your feet.
From ankle sprains and sports injuries to neck pain and headaches, we've got your back.
Give us a call or book an appointment on our website. SWAT Chiropractic, specialized wellness and therapy.
Now located on Summit Street across from the high school.
When you make the right decision, it feels good. Like picking the perfect accent rug or choosing a good night's sleep over an all-night crime show binge. It feels really good to make the right insurance decision too. That's why State Farm agent Rhonda Westland is right here in Yankton to help you select the right protection at the right price. Rhonda will make sure you understand your State Farm coverages so you'll know what to expect if the unexpected happens. With State Farm agent Rhonda Westland, it's easy to make the right choice. Just call her. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Looking for the perfect pair of glasses? At Vision Care Associates, we've got you covered. Step into our showroom and discover our vast selection from timeless classics to the latest trends. With several styles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect match for your look. Experience personalized service and expert care, whether you need help finding the right frame or adjusting your new glasses for the perfect fit.
Vision Care Associates, where the health of your eyes comes first.
Credit union people are my people. Dreaming big, keeping life simple. Saving smart, living free. At Explorers Credit Union, you're just like me. We chart new trails, we stand tall. Together we rise, together we call. Credit union people are my people, it's true. And I found my crew at Explorers CU. Federally insured by NCUA. Visit ExplorerCU.com to join the journey today.
Welcome back in here on KYNT and KYN TV. It's Huddling with the Herd. We got offensive coordinator Terry Huber in the booth, along with special teams coordinator Brady Hale, talking about a big win last night over the T-Area Titans, 31-7. And we'll start on the offensive side of the ball. Anytime you put up 31 points and over 350 yards of total offense, you got to feel good coming off the sideline as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, it was a really good night for the offense last night. I thought we had a lot of production on, both the run game and the pass game. Obviously, a little bit more in the pass game with them packing 8 guys in the box, but I was very impressed with the run game as well to be able to, they still put up 60-plus yards of rushing offense, and they were hard-earned yards last night. So it was a fun night for the offense.
I feel like as I've stepped more into this role, it's very clear that I like to joke about things before games, trying to loosen people up. So as I was walking into the building, Coach Huber, you were walking on the field, and I just looked over and said, Coach, the streets are saying that Tate's going to throw for 300 tonight. Just as a joke, lighten the mood or whatever. Well, Tate ends up with 290 and 2 touchdowns, so the streets were almost right.
Yeah, they were almost right there. Just to, they took the over, I guess. But it was a great game. Tate had a phenomenal night last night. Again, throwing in a high completion percentage, which is what what we're looking for. And the thing that I really enjoy is he definitely understands too that we want to be aggressive. So I get it. We had 2 turnovers on the interceptions, but he had a reason for what he threw, and that's all I'm asking for. I want a reason, and we're being aggressive. I'm not going to hold that to anybody. So I love the yardage he had last night. I loved his composure. He was doing a good job stepping up in the pocket. There we go, man. Just thinking too much. Stepping up in the pocket, and the thing that does is that really makes it comfortable for our offensive linemen too. I know I even heard one of our tackles commenting to him like how much easier it was for him to be pass blocking whenever he just steps up and he's comfortable in there. So it was really fun to see him kind of lead the offense last night.
Sticking with the passing game here, Carter Boomsma had a huge day. I mean, when they go press coverage, nobody over the top on him, like twice right out of the gate, and you connected on big plays both times, one of them for a 72-yard touchdown. What was it like seeing that? Did your eyes get a little wider seeing press one basically on the side?
Yeah, pretty excited whenever our guys do what we ask them to. That's the best part is, they know that, we're going to single different guys up. We got formations to single guys up, and I trust every single one of those receivers. When people are like, I feel like sometimes people generically say, I don't want to take any other people in the state, but I genuinely don't. I think they all have their unique abilities, which makes it so much easier for me to be calling these plays because they bring those unique abilities to the table. Carter is fast. He has great hands, and he's just going to make the play. And so when that kid's pressed up on him, I know exactly what is going through his head, and he's licking his chops saying, this is my ball. I'm going after it. I'm going to burn him off the line. I'm going to beat him, and that requires them to then bracket. I mean, they were bracketing all of our single receivers last night, which then helps our the other side of the field. And so it's really fun to see these guys get out there and have fun. It doesn't matter who's split out wide. I feel good with all of them getting the football.
And, we talked we didn't hit on the running game as much last night in the post-game interview, but we talked about it kind of after that, and I want to hit it this morning because Jay Sedlacek, the stats aren't blowing you away if you just look at the paper, but if you go back and watch the film, you'll realize how tough those yards were. And it felt late on, Coach, those 2-3 yard games in the first, second quarter became 5-6 late in the fourth.
Yep, and that's exactly what we talked to him. Jace is one of the harder runners I've ever coached, and if not the toughest when it comes to continuing to drive his feet. And that's the thing that's been really a joy is he knows, all right, there might not be the biggest hole right now because they're sending 5 linebackers in to get that covered, but he's still going to plug his head in there and he's going to go and get as much as he can. And very rarely do you see him falling backwards, and that's such a big momentum gain for him as a running back is he's getting that +1, +2, +3 yards because he's driving his feet and falling forward. And that's huge for us. I thought the line last night had a really good surge. We always talk about surging 2+ yards down the field so we can get that win off the line, and then everything else is extra after that. So, that's the one thing that I think we get so used to, okay, we need 10 yards a pop here on these runs, but I'm looking for, a consistent 2 to 5 yards per carry is what we're looking for. And, and then Jace did, then like you said, we get later on, Jace pops that 21 yarder and we get later on, he's popping 6, 7, 8 yard runs. And that's the kind of stuff that happens. You wear them down a little bit. Those holes start forming, they start getting out of their gap sound and our line just keeps doing their job. And luckily enough, we got a guy like Jace who can get in there and just get after it.
I always love watching Jace run because it just the way he'll put his hand around the back of his lead blocker in front of him and just follow him off. It reminds me of what like a diet Le'Veon Bell used to do for the Steelers. So just getting behind and then having the power to go through the hole if he eventually does get met. He's fun to watch, and seeing him break a 21-yarder last night, that it looked like he carried himself a little higher after how tough it was early on in that game.
Absolutely, he's got and that's a big thing, like you said, putting the hand on the back of your blockers. That's a trust that he has right there. He trusts that those guys are going to get their job done, and he understands that in order to get to where he wants to be, he's got to follow those guys right up the hole. And so, great job by him last night. It's been a great. I mean, all season he's been running the ball super hard.
Offense worked really well last night, but I think once again we're talking about a good special teams day. I talked Coach Hale to Liam Villanueva this week at practice. He was our Buck in the Headlight interview, and he said his a goal for him this week was not to get the ball into the end zone on punts. 3 punts, no touchbacks, none technically inside the 20. Had one go out of bounds right at the 20, about 27.7 yards per punt. But not a huge sample size in the punting game this week, but I feel like Liam feels week after week is probably the best punter in the state.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that without a doubt. I think in the last month especially, Liam, I think, has just, and that's the way special teams goes. He's kind of just improved and improved and improved, and being behind the same snapper and receiving the snap and getting your rhythm down, and he's absolutely dialed in right now. Just watching him in pregame, I think to start pregame, he hit 6 punts that were just missiles that spiraled, turned over, and were just beautiful. And then obviously he had a great game last week, and then continued it this week. I think this week was just a little. Maybe our snaps were not quite what Madden would want, but he's continuing to get better too. So maybe our timing was a little off. But I thought Liam did a great job. I mean, at the end of the day, the job is to exchange the football and gain as much field position as possible, and he did exactly that. But Liam has been nothing but just amazing for us. He is a huge weapon. Obviously, we don't want to punt, but I selfishly like watching him punt, and he's been doing so good. And I just can't express how much he has just continued to improve over the year. It's just been really cool to watch. And he is a very talented punter. He's got a chance to play at the next level, absolutely.
I have developed more of an appreciation for special teams as I get older. I say as a 24-year-old, but I remember I'm about to say something that I think 16-year-old me would hate me for. My favorite punt last night was late in the game when you're trying to pin him back deep, and Liam, it almost ends up getting blocked, but he waited that extra second, whether it's by design or by just happen chance, and let his coverage team get downfield that extra second longer. I feel like he's really good at timing it perfectly to get maximum amount of coverage and still get the punt off.
Yeah, he does a good job. He's very aware of what's going on, and he's a good athlete. He makes one-handed catches in practice sometimes. I mean, on Mondays when our JV's playing, he'll play wide receiver for the scout team, whatever. So he's capable of doing that. And like I said, that's just more and more he's back there, he's more comfortable, and he understands the timing of everything, and that's a big part of it because just from experience playing special teams, I mean, once you're getting comfortable back there, then your job and your body and everything that you do to practice, it just takes over. So he does a good job, and those are huge plays. And I like to think of them as explosive plays when we can down it inside the 20 or even the 10. So hopefully we can continue to just keep repeating that.
Coach Hale, I have another question for you. Kind of outside of the game itself, something that just I've noticed this year is you traditionally, or in my experience, we're usually up top in the coach's box, or you'd switch between. You've been on the sideline basically all year long. What kind of facilitated that change, and how does that help you connect with guys on the field?
Yeah, I mean, the first game of the year, I went up to the booth, and I've always kind of helped Coach Huber and Coach Muth with just offensive down and distance and things like that, just making sure guys are lined up properly, and I used to do that from the booth. And then once special teams got into the mix, I spend so much time doing that and talking to those kickers. Those are my favorite guys on the team. Just wink, wink. But I love those guys, and just to be able to be next to them and be in their ear and kind of tell them what I think that a kid would want to hear when maybe they miss a field goal or kick one out of bounds or whatever. I think it's super important to just be able to do that role. And then I love being down on the field and in the mix, and it's just been great, I think. Calling special teams is a lot easier without the middleman. But I'm just very lucky that Coach Muth allowed me to kind of experiment with that. And it's been good. I think it's worked well. And I do love being down there and being able to interact with those guys because those are kind of my group that I love. And they've been doing a great job.
One more special teams question here. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Kevin Ortiz. Perfect again on extra points, and then hits a 36-yard field goal for your guys' first score of the game last night. I know that's probably not how one of you wanted the first drive of the game to end, but still, it was a good tone setter, and to be able to come away with points after that opening drive really set the tone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, Kevin's the same way. I think, unfortunately, the soccer season did end like we talked about last week, so he's been getting more and more reps, and I think that's going to continue to improve as well. That's a huge play just to get points on the board. Same kind of thing with the snap, hold, and kick. We're kind of really dialing that in, and with more reps, that'll continue to just be more fluid as they continue to finish the season. But the next one, I thought he hit a great field goal as well. It just went a little right, and I trust him to go out there, and he has the ultimate faith in himself and his teammates, and they go out there expecting to execute. So I know a lot of times in high school football, when teams attempt a field goal, there's like this feeling of like, oh boy, but that's not how I feel personally about our guys. I trust them with everything in me, and we're putting them out there because we think that they can succeed. So I'm really proud of those guys. And then Liam also, I thought he had a really nice attempt last night, just went a little left. But both of those guys, every time they trot out there, I truly believe that they have a high clip of success that they're about to go put on display. So like you said, we talked earlier a little bit. I think as the year goes on, there's going to be a big spot somewhere down the line that one of those kids is going to make a big kick for us. So these reps are very important right now.
You got the Mitchell Colonels coming up next week. We'll switch back to you, Coach Huber, for this. What are you looking at? What does their defense present that you're going to look to focus on? Obviously, without showing too much of your hand heading into your regular season finale.
They're gonna try to be as physical as possible. Obviously a home game for them. Last game of the regular season for them. It's a big night, and they're gonna try to put on a big show. I think they're going to try to get after us. In the blitz game, they're gonna be doing some movement up front on the line, DBs wise. Excuse me. They got their work cut out for them, I think, with our receivers. But at the same time, they got some good talent on the field, and I think this wouldn't, and I say this with the complete respect to their program, this isn't the Mitchell of the last couple of years. This is a different team. These coaches have them, on the up and up, and I would say their program's going in the right direction. And our guys got to be absolutely ready to get after it. Otherwise, this could be a real tough one to get out of with a win if we're not ready to go.
Well, thank you both for coming in this morning and talking here on Huddling with the Herd. As always, Coach Hale, I got to get your prediction for the Jackrabbits today. It's Murray State, so I'm assuming you're pretty confident.
I think they'll race them.
Well, play on words there for a win for the Jackrabbits over the Racers from Coach Hale. Thank you both for coming in again. We're going to be back here in a couple minutes on the Huddling with the Herd. Excuse me.
Are you huddling up with the relatives for the holidays or a Yankton or Mount Marty football game, but don't have enough space in your locker room? Book rooms at the Fairfield by Marriott are Holiday Inn Express. There won't be any roughing penalties with their clean, comfortable beds, and no interference on a relaxing stay. Remember, instead of everyone at your house, call on Audible and book rooms at the Fairfield by Marriott or Holiday Inn Express. For great rates and flexible reservation changes, call either hotel direct.
Buying a home isn't just about real estate. It's about investing in yourself. At the Move Group, we believe the best time to buy is when it makes sense for you. Our expert agents put people before transactions, meaning we listen first, provide honest guidance, and help you make a confident decision. No pressure, no gimmicks. Markets change, but the right home is about more than just numbers. It's about finding the right fit for your life and your future. When you're ready, we're here to help. Contact the Move Group today.
Back to school is an exciting time for students. It can also be a very stressful time. This is Dr. Mackenzie Erlinson from First Chiropractic Centers. Heavy backpacks can cause injuries in children, so start the year off right and make sure your child's backpack weighs no more than 5 to 10% of their body weight and doesn't hang more than 4 inches below the waistline. For pain or discomfort resulting from backpack use, call First Chiropractic Centers. Making life better, one adjustment at a time.
Looking for fuel or more? Stop by Triple Time Rudy's, your locally owned convenience store at 17th and Broadway. At Triple Time Rudy's, they're proud to support the community, offering fuel discounts to Yankton's largest employers and backing local activities and events. Inside, you'll discover regional favorites like Dimmick cheese and premium meats from the Kaler and Renner lockers. Whether it's a quick snack, a tank of top quality fuel, or a taste of local goodness, Triple Time Rudy's, fueling your day, fueling the community.
Buying or selling a home is a big decision. Work with someone who knows the ins and outs. I'm Deb Speck with Vision Real Estate, and with 20 years of experience, I will focus on the details while providing marketing knowledge, advice on staging, and negotiating to get your home sold. From start to finish, I'll guide you through the process, making sure nothing is overlooked. Call me, Deb Speck, Vision Real Estate, 605-664-5555.
Welcome back in here on Huddling with the Herd, KYNT, KYN-TV, talking Yankton Bucks football. We're going to switch our attention to sub-varsity a little bit here, as well as talking about yesterday's win over the Watertown Arrows. We got Coach Dan Schwach, Coach TJ Beacom, and Coach Alex Topol all in the booth right now. We'll start we'll talk at the varsity level. I know Coach Schwach, it's easiest to start and go left to right with how you guys sit. Defensive line had a lot of responsibility last night with triple option capabilities of the T area squad and a run-heavy team as well. So I expect that rotation and getting those guys in was really important for you last night, and I think they played well, despite what the stats may end up saying.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, and that's the tricky part with T. It's just triple option and all that fun stuff. It's assignment-based football, and our inside guys just kind of had to make sure the fullback didn't go right down the middle on us, and then the ends had the responsibility to make sure the quarterback handed the football either off to the fullback or made sure the quarterback got it to the running back, and just a couple little busts in our responsibilities on a few of those plays. I mean, take those back, and we're back to the numbers that we like kind of having for our run defense, but Adley had a really good game in run defense. I think maybe his best rush defense game of his career, realistically. Drace and Austin Conway are just bulldozers up the middle. I mean, they were making tackles if they weren't getting double-teamed, which, as I say all the time, it's our mantra. Talon Kenny did a great job on the edge. Got suckered into a few of them early, but as I told Coach Beacom after the game, I mean, the scout offense did a great job running T's offense this week. It's just a really, really hard thing to simulate. I mean, when that's all they do all the time, and our guys are picking it up in a matter of a couple of days. So happy with the performance, but gives us a lot of room to improve. And now we saw a live action double wing offense, so should make this week a little bit faster, easier to prepare for.
When I talked to Coach Muth for our pregame coach interview, I mentioned that it feels like T just steps out of a time capsule every year with how it feels like almost every other offense in the state's going more spread out offense style. But looking at, you mentioned Edley Amaro having a great game for your defensive ends. I thought your rotation of edges played very well. Talon Kenny got a couple pass breakups, so he was getting a paw up there and knocking passes out of the air. And then Jake Bivens rotated in, got a tackle, forced fumble, and recovered the fumble as well for him. Among other things. So just the rotation just seemed to be working really, really well for you guys.
Absolutely. Bivy came in, did a great job of either spelling some guys, a couple of minor injury scares, and Bivy played great. William Guzman-Yugowski held down. I mean, it's kind of an unsung hero when you play that spot in our defense, but kept blockers off our linebackers and allowed them to make plays. And good team defensive win.
Looking at the offensive side of the ball for Yankton, I just got done talking at length about the offensive side with Coach Huber, but I know Coach Beacom, where your position group is the quarterback spot, and Tate Bestie. I made the joke to Huber before the game that I heard Tate was going to throw for 300, and he almost got there. He got to ends up at 290 and 2 touchdowns for him. Had Carter Boomsma working early, and then able to spread the ball out from there.
Yeah, the way T plays defense, pressing us, we knew we'd have some opportunities to take some shots over the top, and we were fortunate to hit a couple of those early.
And how does that what was the conversations like when you saw that they were playing that press coverage early on that really left space for Booms, but one of the fastest guys in the state, and Tate saw it, it felt like, pretty quickly?
Yeah, I talked to Tate before the game, told him, you see that press man, you got to take your shots, trust your receivers.
And Tate, very efficient this week. I know he had a rough game a few weeks back against Sturgis in terms of efficiency, but it feels like between last week, 14 for 21, this week, 19 for 31, he's getting that efficiency back up. He did have a couple interceptions, but both of those, it felt like plays where one of them was just a little mistiming with Edley, and the other one trying to push the ball downfield a little bit to make a play.
I think he was just trying to force that one in there, and then, the other one, just a little miscommunication.
Looking now, defensive played very well, obviously. You only gave up 7 points last night in the secondary. I know you work with Coach Topol. You got to be happy about 4 interceptions for your guys defensively, 3 from Tegan LaCroix, and then Carter Boomsma gets 1 as well.
Yeah, it's great. They're going back to their old ways that they had earlier in the year. It's one of those things, especially when you go out against a double wing team, you have to just tell them, hey, don't fall asleep on these guys when, you just get run. And honestly, when we saw the change at quarterback, we were really anticipating a lot of short passes to maybe set up some of those bigger shots. But, that front seven that we had, they took away some of those shorter passes right away. So their big thing was just those deep shots. And, again, we're just going to let our athletes be athletes. And, anytime you're going to throw a ball and you have any of our defensive backs nearby, I like our chances there.
I know when the offense is able to build a big lead, the TS just kind of shift their mindset. You're not going to continue to run your wing T when you're down multiple scores late in the game. But passing numbers in terms of attempts were almost even. T ended up throwing the ball 27 times, completed 7 of them with 4 completions to your guys in the secondary, Coach Topol. Bestie ends up with 19 for 31. So it ends up being fairly even. Is that something that you worked with your guys this week of, hey, if we end up getting up, they are going to have to become more of a passing offense. We have to be ready for it?
That's one of those scenarios in a game situation, as the game dictates. That number 10, they really like to throw to. He was kind of their safety valve all season, and we were anticipating a lot more shots to him. It really didn't come, but, when they were ready for that, we were able to step up and take care of that right away. But again, realistically, they only have 3 guys that are really relevant in any pass play, and if we have our 4 defensive backs or 3 at that time, as long as we take account for those 3, then we're feeling pretty comfortable.
Switching things over here to the sub-varsity level. Both sub-varsity seasons wrapped up this past week. Starting with the JV, ends up being a loss to Watertown there, 21-7 to Watertown, I believe. Defensively, Max Eichenberger leading the way with 7 tackles. Feel like he's been talked about every single week. And Will Sager had 5 tackles and a forced fumble. I know wrapping up the year, a 3-5 record. What are your just thoughts? We'll start with you, Coach Schwach, wrapping up the JV season.
A lot of things out of our control in it. We all year we said control the controllables on that. 3-5 is not how we like to end, and not what we're accustomed to in Yankton Buck tradition. But I mean, Mitchell, we were right there. Brookings, we were right there. Just needed to make a few key spots, so we're not worried about the future at all. These guys are going to piece together with the class, some of the juniors that are already playing a lot on Fridays, and the class under them, which I'm sure we'll hear a little bit about in a bit before the undefeated freshman parade that Beacom and I actually set up for here. So we're not happy with it, but once we get those guys back, when we're at full strength, it's not going to be a depletion in the program. And a lot of those guys really developed. And like I've talked about it for a few weeks now, you see like the Will Sagers and Ivan Hirschman's getting out there on special teams, getting some reps in practice, what a lot of people don't see, making our team better. And I mean, we'll sure miss them probably, or we'll miss them next year when they're just on Fridays. So tough season. I do want to give a quick shout out too, because Monday we had a few issues getting some of our younger managers to the game. So we didn't have them. And with last night being senior night, how amazing Ethan Marsh, Christian Weir, and Evan Olson have been as managers. I know they don't do all-state managers anymore, but those three would be 3 all-state managers. So big shout out to those guys. I coached a couple of them in 7th grade football quite a few years ago, and I've taught them all in different aspects, watched them grow up. So we sure love what they do for us, and sure going to miss them.
Yeah, I don't think people fully understand how much goes into Friday nights, and that includes the managers. I know they were honored last night for senior night, so a big shout out to them. Looking at it, you mentioned kind of had to put Band-Aids on the team multiple times this year at the JV level, calling up some freshmen with injuries and what have you. So what are you expecting heading into next season when some of those guys that have been playing for Coach Topol, and we'll get to the parade as you mentioned in a second, they're coming up to the JV level now for real this time? I
mean, imagine with with some coaching, what they'll be able to do. I'm just kidding, Tope. Yeah, I think there's a big fire and intensity that they bring, and that we saw what they brought to us already this year. And just that's something that you can't coach, that intensity and drive in them. And that's what we've always took pride in at the JV level, is just being more physical, more intense than the other team, playing fast, knowing our scheme, and just winning football games. So they will that group will fit right in.
I'll ask both of you here, Coach Schwach and Coach Beacom. Now the JV season's wrapped up, and you mentioned it, not the record you guys wanted, but what are some things this year, or maybe one moment you can point to that was your favorite in the JV season, or one that you're most proud of?
I think after we had some adversity and some injuries, the way the freshmen came in and helped us out, we did win 2 games prior to the Watertown game. So it was really fun to see those guys come in and compete. Carter Saylor at quarterback, what a competitor, really good runner. Adrian Van Osdale had some big catches for us, and Tribby Lutton too. So really excited about those guys.
And Coach Walker,
that Norfolk game was kind of a highlight, because I think they were a better team than the score. I mean, I think they were just as good as Watertown, just as good as a lot of teams. Just it seemed like, and it wasn't quite it would have been nice if it was the last game of the year, but the guys finally really started gelling, which is a huge goal to get for kind of meshing of the classes that will play together on Fridays in the future. So getting that Norfolk win was big. And yeah, I mean, it's fun to watch them develop. I mean, Will Sager is a different person than he was in week 1. I mean, he just started getting a little swagger. Isaac Sirk did the same thing. They got a little bit more of a swagger to him, a little confidence built up, and they'll be fun to watch here in the future.
Well, thank you both for taking time this morning to come in, and the weeks we've talked to you here as well. Congrats on the JV season. I know it was tougher than you guys wanted, but filling those gaps when needed and building the next level of this program, it's always really important. Thank you both.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to Coach Topol now, and I guess this is where we start the parade or the victory lap or whatever you want to call it. Do they do the freshman state championship for you guys, Coach Topol, with an 8-0 record, wrapping things up with a big win over Sioux City East?
I guess they're going to have to go back to the poll area here. We'll start printing T-shirts and sell them off to the public here for state freshman champs or something like that.
You could just do what UCF did and just claim it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll slab it up somewhere in the hallowed halls of Yankton High School, some banner somewhere.
Looking at your final game of the season, 35-19 win on Thursday over Sioux City East. Passing game, not as prolific as it has been at times, but the running game, Carter Saylor had that going. 15 carries, 200 plus yards, 2 touchdowns. Emmett Hirschman over 100 yards rushing, a touchdown for him, and he had 8 tackles defensively as well. It felt like even though the passing game might not have been to its fullest strength, the running game and the athletes really shined for Yankton.
The big thing with that game, we were down 13-0 right away, and the thing that we've been preaching all year across all levels is this hero ball. We get these kids that feel like they need to be that all-star in that moment to go off and win the game in one play. And we preach against that you got to do your 111th, be that one part of the team and do your job. And that was something we came out of this game. There's a lot of pressure on these kids because they knew that there hasn't been an undefeated freshman team in the last 20-some years at least. And they came out and they started really trying to play hero ball. Carter admitted he was forcing some passes. Running back, same thing. When they probably should just go down, they kept fighting for yards, fumbles, things like that. But essentially, when we were able to slow things down, we looked at what was Sioux City East giving us. And they were really dead set on taking that pass game away, and that really opened up some opportunities for running lanes.
And, opportunities for running lanes, just to reiterate, 15 carries, 212 yards for Carter Saylor, over 14 yards a carry, 14 carries for 103 yards, almost 7.5 yards a carry for Emmett Hirschman. The running game was just absolutely spectacular. Defense and special teams played well as well. Adrian Van Osdol recovered a blocked punt for a touchdown at one point, a couple interceptions, Austin Johnson and Braxton Hoover. So it felt like across the board, once your guys settled in, it was a pretty smooth sailing for the freshman squad.
Yeah, and that was something as well. Even like Austin Johnson, they're down 13-0 right away. They just threw 2 deep balls over his head. Pulled him to the sidelines like, listen, they're going to pick on you. And you show them why that's a bad idea. And words cannot paint a picture of the greatest catch I've probably ever seen at any level from Austin Johnson, where kid laid out one-handed grab interception, and after that, just Sioux City East, their offense was irrelevant. He completely flipped the script on that. And then that block punt, too, from Landon Bottleson, where Adrian was able to cover in the end zone. I mean, that was ultimately the game-winning touchdown. We went on to score 2 more touchdowns. But, again, in those moments, those opportunities, the kids stepped up when they had to.
And that's actually when that blocked punt I got to see. So I was covering Yankton Gazelles volleyball that night, and in the commons area, I was getting a water before the game. They had your guys' game on the TV in there through NFHS or however that works. But I walk in just to see a block punt and a recover in the end zone and went, oh, so Yankton freshman team is getting down to business. Let's go.
Yeah, just a little bit.
That looked like it was a fun time out there, and that's one where we're getting later in the year. We haven't really had a cold game yet, but that can start to affect teams as we get later in the year too. So being able to win when the weather's not perfect, even though it kind of is perfect right now for football,
really is,
depending
yes.
on who you ask. But being able to win in several different conditions is big for a young team. Your freshman squad. This is the future of the program that you got in front of you here.
Yeah, certainly. And that just sets the momentum going forward. Even just talking to the JV coaches here, multiple times we moved up freshmen, and every time we moved them up, we'd have to give them that the little pep talk. 'Cause there's always a little self-doubt, I don't know if I can do this, coach. And as long as, again, you do your 111th, you do your job, you do what you're capable of. And again, every single freshman we moved up there, they played a huge part in the JV team. So not only having success at the freshman level, but to go onto the JV level and have some success there, that just builds confidence going forward. And some of those kids will be in the JV program for a year or two, but either way, the future looks really bright for Yankton.
And 2 of those freshmen I know have played up at JV and performed well at both levels to the point where I don't know how long they'll be on JV if they keep improving the way they have been. Max Eichenberger and Landon Bottleson. Eichenberger ends up leading the way with a sack. Bottleson had a sack too. And of course, that pump block. Those 2 feel like a dangerous combination on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and it's so easy to call defense when you have those 2 at DN just squeezing in the quarterback, because that's bringing a lot of just crazy passes just thrown up and hoping for the best. And, like, that's where your turnovers come from. You know, I mean, the defensive line, they set the tempo, and they made it really easy to coach defense this year.
You mentioned it already, first time in a long time for an undefeated season for the freshman team. What is something this year that you have been most proud of, or a favorite moment that sticks out to you?
With this group, it's been a process. You know, I coached 8th grade the last 2 years, so, you know, I coached them last year, and, you know, the year before they were 7th graders, and they won 1 game. You know, seeing that gradual process. But, you know, if I have to pick any moment, you know, this year, that beating Brookings was a big one for us because, you know, that was the team that had just, I mean, they creamed them the last 2 years. And for them, that was a game that they really, really wanted to win. And to see them come out, I mean, that was when we saw this team probably play at its fullest potential. Like, they came in angry with a chip on their shoulder, and they dominated them for all 4 quarters. And then it carried over to the next week, too, with T, because, again, you know, T, they're a really talented team. You know, they have 3 freshmen that were moved up to the varsity level. And to come out in just back-to-back weeks, you know, 41-8 or whatever it was, you know, that was just those 2 games right there. I mean, that was a program-defining moment for those kids going forward, that when they play these teams who are going to be relevant when they're seniors, that they can not only beat them but dominate them. I mean, that's a huge, huge motivation going forward for them as a group.
Coach Topel, thanks for taking time this morning to talk here. Congratulations on a amazing season for the freshman squad, 8-0, and hopefully we can make it back-to-back next year.
Well, the 8th grade class that's coming up, hopeful for that. But, yeah, thank you very much.
As Coach Alex Topel here, Coach Dan Schwak, and Coach TJ Beacom were in here as well earlier on here on Huddling with the Herd. When we come back, we're talking Yankton volleyball, and we're also talking a little bit of soccer here on Huddling with the Herd. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a couple minutes.
Is it the competition that keeps bringing you back? The long-standing rivalries? Or is it seeing friends again and cheering on your favorite team? At First Dakota, we're here for it all. We appreciate the fans, the players, the coaches and officials, the concessions crew. The shared community experience is part of what makes life here great, and we're here for it. See you at the game. First Dakota National Bank, member FDIC.
Stay healthy this season with a flu shot from Yankton Medical Clinic. They are hosting flu shot clinics every Tuesday afternoon, 3 to 4:30, now through November 11th, along with Saturday, November 8th from 9 a.m. to noon. Walk-ins are welcome, or schedule your appointment online at yanktonmedicalclinic.com. Don't wait. Protect yourself and your loved ones today with a flu shot from Yankton Medical Clinic. So much care, so close to home.
A couple days ago, a teacher came into the UPS store to print some worksheets for her classroom. As we were printing, she asked if we could help her design and print a custom banner for her school's upcoming event. Yes, we can. At the UPS store in Yankton, where for over 8 years we've been serving educators, businesses, and community members with all kinds of printing solutions. Stop by today and let us assist with your next project, and be sure to ask about our shipping services or current print specials.
Save time when you shop online with Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee makes it easy to order groceries online through our app or Hy-Vee.com. Pickup is always free. And if you have a Perks Plus membership, you get free delivery and free express pickup. Shop online with Hy-Vee and you can create and save grocery lists, shop the sales, and get fuel savers. Talk about convenient. Order groceries online today. Check out Hy-Vee.com or download the Hy-Vee app.
Welcome back in here, KYNT, KYN-TV. It's Huddling with the Herd. We're talking Yankton Gazelles volleyball now. Big win over Pierre on Thursday for their pink night, 3-1 over the Governors. 25-22, Yankton took set 1. 25-14, set number 2, also a Yankton win. The Gazelles would drop set 3, 25-17, before storming back with a set 4, 25-13 win there. Tyan Bestie, 16 kills, 11 digs, led the way. Jordan Kudera, another freshman. Bestie and Kudera, both freshmen. Kudera had 24 digs to post the team high. Beersford's coming up for volleyball next. That's on Monday as they take on the Watchdogs. And they also got the big East-West tournament next weekend in Harrisburg. Yankton will play Spearfish and Rapid City Stevens on Friday. They'll play Douglas, Sturgis, and Rapid City Central on Saturday. So 5 games over 2 days in Harrisburg next weekend. Busy week for Yankton Gazelles volleyball next week. I did want to use the post-game interview. I wanted to play that again for you today here on KYNT and KYN TV, but due to the music that was being played in the arena after the win, good chunk of that interview was unfortunately not really easy to hear. So I do apologize for that. We'll get a conversation with head coach Taylor Stacy again here shortly. Hopefully we can have something next week to kind of talk about that East-West tournament going on in Harrisburg. Let's switch things over and talk soccer now here on the broadcast. We'll start with Yankton Bucks soccer. They ended the year 8-6-1, almost 2 weeks ago now, with their 4-1 loss to O'Gorman in the opening round of the state playoffs. I was able to speak to head coach Dane Hansen yesterday, actually. He came into studio. We talked a little bit about the Bucks season, the improvements that they made from year 1 to year 2 in his coaching tenure, and where he sees his team going into the future. Let's go to that interview now here on Huddling with the Herd. Welcome in here on Huddling with the Herd. Brayden Butler talking to head coach Dane Hansen of the Yankton Bucks soccer program today. Coach Hansen, year 2 wrapped up almost 2 weeks ago now. It ended with a loss to O'Gorman in the opening round of the state playoffs. But what are you, just kind of flashing back to that game, ended up being a 4-1, if I remember right. What happened on that day for people who weren't able to see the game against O'Gorman?
Let's see. We scored first, scored pretty early. They came back and answered. That kind of shocked us. They found just a way to get through our back line or over our back line a couple of times early. We were able to tighten up a little bit, but unfortunately the gap got a little too big for us and really couldn't make a comeback from that.
And it was an O'Gorman team. It shows you that's why you don't play the games on paper. You hard fought 1-0 win in the regular season for you guys. They come back and it changes things. But not to focus on the negatives. Obviously, season coming to an end. You graduate a good group of seniors that you're going to have to replace. But we did see signs of younger players stepping up throughout the season. We'll talk about that later on. But now that year 2, the book is closed for you as head coach of the Bucks. Massive jump, I'd say, from year 1 to year 2. A lot changed. What changed the most, in your opinion, from year 1 to year 2 for you guys to get into the playoffs and get a fairly high seed? You guys are the first ones outside of a hosting spot.
Yeah, I don't know that it was any one thing, right? I know a lot of the guys put time in over the off season with Rosie's. We came in a little bit fresher. During preseason, we preached a lot of dealing with adversity and pushed them a lot physically, just to stretch them also mentally, right? Just how do you handle when you're tired, physically don't want to go anymore. And I think that helped. I'd like to say I think that helped, but ultimately it was a group of seniors, a large group of seniors, really playing for each other, helping the underclassmen understand what the expectations were. We hit a good run of form midway through the season, and then momentum. Winning is contagious, right? Just like losing can be contagious. So we hit a nice little winning streak, and belief was there. And then near the end of the season, we kind of petered off, but ultimately, really just a great group of guys. Did a lot of different things culturally, better off-season prep.
You mentioned a large group of seniors. Going over those guys now, I got the roster pulled up online. Jaden Dorzak is a senior. Nels Hansen was a senior. Alex Swihart, Christian Pacheco, Joaquin Polito all graduated. Cade Reifenrath, Jack Pedersen. It'll be his last year for Bucks soccer, obviously. Amos Alonso, Kevin Ortiz. Not listed here, didn't play this season due to injury, but I know Byron Jimenez was a guy that, if he wasn't hurt, he would have been a key factor for this team as well. But that is a large 10 guys you got graduating, maybe more.
10 if you include Byron. Yep.
There you go.
And then 7 of them were starters for us. So a large group of seniors. That's going to be a gulf, and we'll have to deal with that. That'll just be adversity, right? That'll be challenge, and we'll figure it out.
How did that? What was it like coming in for obviously a large group of seniors? They were juniors last year. You mentioned 7 of them started. A lot of them were starters, or at least thought they would be starters heading into last season. So what was it like coming in with that large group of guys who were already veterans in the program and had done some incredible things already at the varsity level for some of them?
Yeah, so when you think, looking back at last year, I think everybody was disappointed how the season went. And really that opened up, I think, a lot of guys' eyes on, Yeah, we're talented. We have experience, but really the work ethic has to be there. The mental side of the things have to be there. So we had to kind of reshape that, reset some standards there. But once we figured that out, I mean, you saw it. We clicked on the field. Defense tightened up. Budig came in, clutch for us plenty of times, and ultimately, like this year, I didn't have to preach too much. Right? It was, hey, standards aren't being met. Fix it for me, right? I could lean on those captains to keep their teammates accountable. Just, a year of maturity does wonders.
Yeah, looking ahead to next year, you got a couple upperclassmen and juniors. You mentioned Andrew Budig, Tony Guitron, also a junior. He'll be back next year. A couple other guys with them that are upperclassmen. They'll step into those leadership roles. But who are we looking at for the underclassmen who are stepping up? Because even with the large senior class, there were a lot of freshmen and sophomores who did get significant playing time for the Bucks this year.
Yeah, so just starting from the back line, you've got Coulter Great, who got plenty of minutes for us in that defensive area. So he'll come back. He'll have some experience. Ben Pavlish, we built some experience through him. And then we have Ty Jared. He's JV player. He's got some technical things to clean up, right? But I think from a defense perspective, we've got some options there. We built some experience. In the midfield, we have Jordan returning. He was a starter this year, on and off. We have Nolan. He got injured late in the season, but he had a pretty good year this year as well as a first-year varsity starter and first sub, whatever you want to call it. So we've got experience in the midfield. We'll have to find kind of one more guy who can play a key role for us. But Gibson Brooks was a player that had a monster JV year, so maybe next year is a monster year for him on varsity. We also have Ezra Wells. He got a little bit of minutes here and there, so there's some experience, not as much as maybe as what we would like, but good options in the midfield area. And then up front, we'll kind of have to just figure that out. We have some sparks, spark plugs. Zane Becker's a great option. He gives you a lot of energy, but not a whole lot of experience on that front two area. We got Tony coming back. He prefers like the wide areas, the wing areas. But so we'll have some options. We'll be a little inexperienced in some areas, but we'll deal with that.
Just overarching here to wrap up 2025. The early fall sports, especially the outdoor ones, just feel so short. Our first conversation, it was 2 months ago, we were projecting the opening game of the season against Stevens, and now we're here and the season's over, and it's actually been over for a week too. So this is a really short time window that we get to talk about soccer. But what in that time frame has been your favorite moment from the season, whether it's something you're most proud of or a game that really stuck out to you?
OG game 1. That was at their house, regular season. That senior group had never beaten O'Gorman. So as seniors, they finally were able to overcome that. And you could just see in the way they celebrated when the game was over that, it meant a lot to them. So just to be a part of that and to witness the excitement that the boys had, the passion that they had for the game, and finally overcoming a fierce rival, right? A fierce competitive team that we see every year. That's always great.
And that win over OG came right in the heart of your best stretch of the season. You had 7 straight wins, starting with T at the end of August and going all the way through almost the end of September with their final win in that streak was a win over Harrisburg.
Yep.
I remember that Saturday because soccer and football were both in Harrisburg that day.
Yeah.
So it was a long day of athletics between Yankton and Harrisburg. But a lot of fun to cover this season. What are one final thing for you? What are you looking forward to most in year 3 for you as head coach?
Year 3, it's just continuing to build the foundation, right? We'll have a lot of youth in there, and youth brings a little bit of naivety, good naivety, right? They don't know what to expect. They bring a lot of energy, and they compete from day one usually, and they're trying to earn a spot, trying to prove a point, and I absolutely love that.
They say ignorance is bliss in some ways. So, and you haven't been in those big moments yet. Maybe you don't get as much pressure because you don't realize how big that moment is quite yet.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for taking time to come in and talk today, Coach Hansen. Congrats on a very successful year 2, and I'm excited to see where this program keeps going forward. Excited for year 3 for you, and we'll speak again in August.
Yeah, thank you.
Big thanks to head coach Dane Hansen talking to me the other day ahead of the huddling with the herd here on your Saturday morning on KYNT and KYN TV. Bucks end their year 8-6-1. Big step forward in year 2, and I'm expecting that program to keep moving forward heading into year 3. Always appreciate talking to head coach Hansen and getting to know him a little more and more throughout the year. We are No, we're not going to go to break. I'm doing the show. I'm in charge. We're not going to break. We're going to keep it with soccer. Start with Gazelles soccer. We're going to Gazelles soccer here. They fell in the state quarterfinals last Saturday to Harrisburg, 1-0. There's a little bit of controversy around it. It was a close goal that got ruled in. Some people didn't think it went in, but at the end of the day, the Gazelles season does come to an end, and Harrisburg has advanced to the state championship game for AA girls soccer. That is happening today out in Rapid City. It's funny that Harrisburg and O'Gorman are the two teams, but they preset the location. Last year it was here in Yankton. This year it's hosted out in Rapid City. So one Sioux Falls, true Sioux Falls school, and one Harrisburg, more of a suburb of Sioux Falls, traveling across the state to play each other for the Class AA state championship today. That one is set to kick off at 7 p.m. Mountain Time tonight, so 8 p.m. Central kickoff. That's at the Sioux Park Complex this evening. Good luck to both those teams. But the Gazelles do end their season 9-4-3 overall with that loss last Saturday. I got a chance to talk to head coach Tyler Schuring over the phone on the Pizza Ranch phone line just yesterday. He was actually about to start his trip out west. He's out there for the game this evening. Let's go to that interview now. Once again, this is on the Pizza Ranch phone line, recorded yesterday with head coach Tyler Schuring. Brayden Butler here on KYNT and KYN-TV for Huddling with the Herd this Saturday morning. We got a call over the Pizza Ranch phone line right now. It's head coach Tyler Schuring of the Yankton Gazelles. Their soccer season wrapped up last Saturday against Harrisburg, up in Harrisburg in the second round of the AA state playoffs. Coach, I know you've probably talked about it at length with parents and fans this week. A little bit of controversy in that game, but when the dust settled, the Gazelles, despite the loss, a very impressive performance and a really successful season, I thought, as a whole.
Yeah, sometimes it happens like that. You just never know. Some calls would go your way, some calls don't. My message to the players after the game was I was really proud of the way they played. We came into the game with a pretty solid game plan, and I thought the players executed it well. And they truly left everything out there fighting for that playoff win. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way.
And still focusing on last week's matchup with Harrisburg, I thought that obviously the Tigers were really able to kind of pepper shots at the net, it felt like. But Elena Monin stopped, in our opinion, every shot that she faced on Saturday. It was obviously that really close call at the end, ended up being the 1-0 differential. But I thought her, and then even despite the amount of shots that Harrisburg was able to take, the defensive back line did a good job recovering and blocking shots at time as well. I think your defense obviously shined to hold Harrisburg to 1 goal last week.
Yeah, I think our overall team defense worked really well. We noticed in our first matchup with them where we didn't fare as well, they were able to get some clean shots off from some distance and some angles that benefited them. I thought our midfield and our back line did a really good job forcing them wide, taking away the middle, and taking away really any clean shots. They were able to get some off, but Elena was able to be back there and clean up the majority of them. So while they were able to get some, they weren't all as dangerous as they were that first time we played them. The team just worked hard. They were committed to the way we were going to try to play this game, which was a little bit more of a defense and counter. Not something that we really want to do a whole lot. It's not as exciting. It's not as cool for the players, but I was very proud of the work ethic and their attitude they were able to bring into that.
Coach, it feels like the last few years, these kind of season wrap-up conversations, we're talking about, it's a young team, gets another year to get better. That's still the case for part of it, but you're graduating there's always been key seniors, but you're graduating some key seniors again. Hannah Kruger got all ESD this year. Cien Tacky, I thought could have been in the running for that honor. You're also graduating, I know, 3 more, Emily Tramp, Ava Haar, and Faye Ireland all graduating this year too. So just talking about the senior class, because like I said, we've talked about youth the last couple of years. This is a group of seniors that's had to lead by example a little bit, even through some tough times.
Yeah, I thought our leadership this year, in the program as a whole was as good as it's ever been. And I thought it really starts with that senior class. They saw the improvements we made last year, and, they were focused and helped carry on some more improvements this year. So leadership as a whole was exceptional on and off the field. the camaraderie within the team, the chemistry within the team, and that all starts with the senior leadership. On the field, I really thought Hannah MCN played exceptionally well on the back line. Emily really stepped up this year, putting in some really good minutes, getting a lot of starts early on in the year. And Ava Har is an exceptional player for us throughout the years. Unfortunately, the last couple games she wasn't able to get in there due to injury, but she was one that we really would have liked going into those playoff games, that's for sure. And Faye's been with the program here for a few years now, not as long as the others, but, she continued to put in work and bring the right attitude to the team. Overall, the seniors was a great benefit to the team, that's for sure.
And looking at your season as a whole, you earned a top 8 seed. You hosted a first-round playoff matchup, which is a big improvement from a few years ago when you're fighting for the edge of the Sodak spot. And now you have a group of juniors now going into their senior year next year who have really taken the mantle as stars throughout the team. How are you just feeling? What have you been most impressed with this class who now is going to have their senior leadership next season be put on display?
Yeah, this group has brought leadership, since they were freshmen and sophomore as well. So, I think there might be a little bit more pressure on them, potentially now it's their last chance to really go out and prove how good they are. But there's still a lot of potential, untapped potential with this group. They continue to be one of the hardest working classes that I've ever had. So that's always great to see. They're not just relying on some natural talent out there, and they're always continuing to improve. We definitely got some stars out there, and bringing them all back. There's, all of our goals basically from this year are coming back next year. The majority of our assists. So our offense is going to be in really good shape. We just need to make sure we're continuing to put them in the right direction and adapt a little bit and improve a little bit in certain key areas. I think the biggest thing that I saw this year, I thought Olivia Woods really stepped up on the back line as a junior, getting thrown in there as a starter and playing the majority of the minutes throughout the season. She's going to be one that we're going to have to rely on, along with Elena back there, to really help build that back line and that defense, because we do graduate a lot of players in the back line.
Coach, one final question for you before I let you go here today. It just season as a whole, is there a moment from this year or a run of games maybe from this year that stands out as one of your favorite moments or a moment you're maybe most proud of with your team?
I'm going to go with our first and our last game. I thought we came into the season really well prepared. The off season was exceptional, whether it's getting in the weight room, whether it's showing up for off season training, going to camps, stepping on the field that first game and drawing a very solid Rapid City Central 2-2, a team that was undefeated throughout the playoffs or throughout the season until the playoffs last Saturday. So a very good team there. And just the way that our team was able to adapt after a tough loss the first time we played Harrisburg, really adapt to the changes that the coaches brought in and picking up the game plan and putting in a really good week of effort, really preparing, focusing, just mentally, physically, and just a performance they put out in that playoff game against Harrisburg. I was very excited to see that, and to me it just shows, the work they put in paid off, and it makes you excited for what we can do next year as well.
Well, Coach, thanks for taking time today to talk to us here for Huddling with the Herd. It was a lot of fun to cover the Gazelles soccer team this season. Yankton soccer in general this year was a lot of fun to cover between the Bucks and Gazelles, but looking forward to next August to see how your team continues to take that next step. And this now senior class who's been on the front foot, it feels like for a couple of years now, gets to shine one more time.
Yep. Again, thank you for all the support that you guys do. Traveling to games when you can, all the home coverage. It's second to none, especially in the state of South Dakota. So, again, thank you very much.
Well, we appreciate that, Coach, sharing it. It's always easier to get up for those games when the team's performing as well as they have the last couple of years here. So thank you again.
Thank you.
That was head coach Tyler Schuring of the Yankton Gazelles, talking to him over the Pizza Ranch phone line, that phone call from yesterday. He did mention at the end there, and it's something I want to bring up, that it was really one of the more impressive things from the Yankton season as a whole. He mentioned Rapid City Stevens in the opening game of the year came across the state, and the Gazelles played them to a 2-2 draw. Stevens would not only not lose another game until the state semifinal, they wouldn't even draw. It was 15 straight wins. The Stevens Raiders went 15-1-1 this year. The one loss was O'Gorman in the state semifinals last week, and the one draw was Yankton in game number 1. Congrats to the Gazelles on a very impressive season, and good luck to them in the future. When we come back, we're going to be talking Yankton Gazelles tennis. They had the state tournament last weekend, a double state championship coming home to Yankton. As if there was a lot of doubt with how dominant Nora and Sabrina Kraske have been. We're talking about full results for tennis when we come back. We'll also hear about Bucks golf from head coach Brett Syme. All that's still coming up here on Huddling with the Herd.
FM 1021 and AM 1450 KYNT. Yankton.
Have aches and pains taken you out of your game? Sports injuries can happen quickly, posing threats to your health and ability to participate in your regular athletic activities. I'm Dr. Mackenzie Erlinson from First Chiropractic Centers. Chiropractic care can provide pain relief from sore and aching muscles and lead to faster recovery after workout by easing the inflammation you experience, like stiffness, pain, or restricted movement. Visit with us about managing your sports injuries. First Chiropractic Centers, making life better, one adjustment at a time.
It's game on at Yankton Pizza Ranch. Our buffet is loaded with hot pizzas, sweet desserts, and the country's best chicken. Plenty of food and plenty of room for a whole team or your whole family, whether you're celebrating a big win or just hungry for one. Everybody leaves full and happy. So huddle up and make it a buffet day every day from 11 to 8 at Yankton Pizza Ranch.
It's where life tastes better. Surround 'em up and head her down to the Pizza Ranch. Whoa, that's good.
Welcome back in here on KYNT and KYN-TV. This is Huddling with the Herd. It's time to talk Yankton Gazelles tennis, how they wrapped up things last week at the AA state tournament. Nora and Sabrina Kraske completed their second straight undefeated doubles season last week, winning a Flight 1 doubles championship at the AA girls state tournament. The doubles title helped lead the Gazelles to a 5th place finish as a team. Also in doubles play, Carolyn Kerner and Megan Scott fell in the 5th place semifinals at Flight 2, and Sienna Kolka and Elise Collar fell in the consolation finals at Flight 3. Yankton was led in singles play by a 2nd place finish at Flight 1 by Nora Kraske, followed by her sister Sabrina, placing 4th at Flight 2. Rounding out singles play for the Gazelles, Kerner and Scott were the consolation champions at Flights 3 and 4, and Kolka and Collar were eliminated in the consolation semifinals at Flights 5 and 6. As a team, the Gazelles placed 5th in the state tournament, securing 257 standings points. Rapid City Stevens would win the team title, with 486.5 points. Congratulations to the Gazelles on a successful tennis season, and a big congratulations to Nora and Sabrina Kraske on very successful high school careers, both of them seniors wrapping up their tennis careers, but I know they're involved in multiple other sports, so good luck to them on the rest of their senior years. And congratulations on a couple of the most impressive, if not the most impressive, tennis careers at Yankton High School in program history. Switching our attention to Yankton Bucks Golf, had a chance to talk to Brett Syme the other day, head coach Brett Syme of the Bucks Golf program. Talked to him about how his squad did this season. Of course, finishing top 6 in the state at the state tournament. Had 2 all-state honorees this year as well. We talk about all of that over the Pizza Ranch phone line. Here is head coach Brett Syme of Yankton Bucks Golf. Brayden Butler here for Huddling with the Herd. Joining me over the Pizza Ranch phone line is Brett Syme, head coach for the Yankton Golf program. That's Bucks and Gazelles, but we're talking about the Bucks season right now. Just wrapped up about 2 weeks ago now, almost 2 weeks ago now, with a big tournament out west, the state tournament. A tournament, coach, that your guys performed fairly well in. Had a top 10 finisher in Kai Cody. He tied for 9th. As a team, you finished 6th as a unit. So what are your initial thoughts? I know it had some time to mull it over, but what are your thoughts after coming back home and wrapping up the season with a 6th place finish as a team?
Well, I thought it was a great finish for us. From the beginning of the season, these guys had a goal of trying to get back into the top 6 at the state. The top 6 get hardware to bring home for their respective school. And, we haven't been able to do that for quite a while. I think the last time we did it, Easton Bellick was an 8th grader. So, with him being a senior, it's been a few years since we've done that. So it was a good thing to be able to get into that top 6. We were in 5th after the first day. Golf's a little different. We can't play defense on the other teams. And, Brookings, who was right behind us, went out and just had an unbelievable day, and they ended up jumping ahead of us. But, for us to be in that top 6 and meet our goal, it was a good thing. And like you mentioned, Kai Cody had a great tournament, being in the top 10 of that state tournament field. What a great effort by him. And we also had another all-state golfer, Eli Larson, played pretty well, had a great first day. Maybe a little more trouble on the second day, but he had a pretty exciting finish. He made about a 25-foot putt for birdie on the 18th hole the second day to actually secure him a spot in the top 25 and kind of helped secure us a spot in that top 6 teams. It's a whole group effort to be in that top 6, but we really needed that putt at the end of the tournament to be able to be in that 6th spot. So, yeah, a lot of great individual efforts. When I look at the tournament, everybody's score on one day or the other could have been used. On day 1, Easton Bellick, our senior, went out and led us with a 75, 3 over par. Eli Larson shot 77, Kai Cody 78. And then Easton Skelhaus and Gus Sprockle both shot 81. So you could take either one of those scores for our 4th score. And Brayden Birkland shot an 84. On day 2, Kai Cody just went out and had a great round, shot 1 over par 73. He was just very solid. I think he had 2 pars and 1 birdie and he had 2 bogeys, 1 birdie and 15 pars. So just a very solid round of golf, played great for us, and that secured him his 9th place finish. Eli Larson went out and shot another great round, 79. He just had a little trouble in the back 9. He went out and was playing really well in the front, got in a stretch where he couldn't find pars for a while, and then came back with a big birdie on the last hole to secure him a spot in the all-state rankings. But then Easton Skelhaus and Brayden Birkland both shot 80 to crack into the top 4 on that day. And Easton Bellick just had a rough back 9, got on a streak where he could not find a par. And, I felt bad for him being a senior and having to go out that way. But, he's been a big part of this team, and he was a big part of the reason why we were where we were after day 1, leading us with that 75. And Gus Sprockle also shot 87 that day. So, all in all, we add up our 2 days. We were very consistent. We shot 311 day 1. We were looking like we were going to shoot a little better on day 2, but like I said, just that little bit of trouble we had on the second 9. We ended up just 1 stroke worse at 312. Brookings jumped ahead of us. Like I said, we were in 5th after the first day, but, hats off to them. They had a tremendous day. They shot the best round of the tournament on day 2. They were the low team on day 2, so hard to fault them for jumping ahead of us. And our boys, they played well, and one of the big things I always ask out of them is to just keep grinding for every stroke you can get. And I think we did that pretty well. Even though we were struggling a little bit on the back 9, the boys kept trying hard, and it was good enough to get in that top 6. So really good to see us meet our team goal. And, a couple of those guys, I know they were really hoping that they could be in the individual medaling, and we got some of those guys in there. We got 2 individual medalists, and it's been a while since we had people medal at the state tournament. So great tournament overall, good season for the Bucks, and looking forward to another great one next fall.
You mentioned a couple times there, Coach, Easton Bellick at his senior season. Is he the only senior you have on roster, or who else has unfortunately had their Bucks career come to an end at the high school level?
Well, he was the only senior on the varsity squad. We do have William Youngbloom, who's played the last number of years for us, that is a senior and is going to graduate. He just, never quite cracked into that varsity, but he's a pretty good golfer and just never quite made it to the varsity level. Wish both those guys the best in their, in their lives going forward, college or work or whatever they do. And it's always tough to see those guys graduate, but just a new chapter of their life. And, I'm excited for whatever they do in the future.
You mentioned the team came into this season with goals of being that top 6 team, and you meet that goal. And then, as you mentioned, you're only graduating 2 guys from the roster this year with the 2 guys you just mentioned. So how much confidence does that give you in the future that you can bring back most of the guys from this year's 6th place finish? And then if there's any younger guys who are waiting to take that next step up?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I'm excited about next season. Having 5 return from the state tournament team, and 3 of those guys are going to have multiple years in already. Kai and Eli, this was, their 2nd state tournament, I believe, along with Brayden. Might even be Kai and Eli's 3rd. I'd have to look back at my records. Sometimes it's hard for me to remember, that many years back. But, yeah, we've got some good experience coming back. And now with Easton Skelhaus and Gus Sprockle having a year under their belts, we're going to have 5 guys that have some pretty good experience at that state level. And we've got a number of other guys that are going to be fighting, to try and make it into the varsity. And, there's no saying that those 5 are going to be on that varsity team next year. I hope the guys get out and work hard. And, it might be a few other guys that break into that top 6. But we never know until that next year hits. So I just hope it gives the kids a lot of drive to try and go out and make themselves better. We had a great season, and hopefully that makes the kids that maybe didn't make the team want to go out and work that much harder to know that we've got a pretty solid squad coming back, and they want to try and crack into that top 6 and be a part of it, because I think we could be looking for a great season next year. Without graduating a lot of our state tournament team, things look good. And we've got number of guys that, we're looking at trying to break into that top 6 this year already. We were looking at a few, gave 1 or 2 a chance to try and get in there this year. They just didn't quite make it. But it's going to be interesting next year. And hopefully those guys get out and play a lot of golf, maybe getting some golf tournaments over the summer. I know a lot of them play in the summer to try and get competition ready for the season. And, again, just really excited, looking forward to next year, and can't wait to see what we can do.
We'll have about 10 months before we talk about Bucks golf again here, but we'll be talking to you again in the spring, Coach. I know when the girls' season picks up, you're coach there as well. So big thank you for taking time out of your day to talk to me here today. Congrats on your great season, and like I said, we'll talk to you in the spring when Gazelles golf picks up.
All right, thanks a lot, Brayden. Appreciate it.
That was head coach Brett Syme for Yankton Golf. The Bucks golf season coming to an end just over a week ago now, about a week and a half now. Big thank you to Brett Syme once again for taking time out of his day to talk to us. And like I said, we're talking to him again in the spring when Gazelles golf season rolls around. Before we go back to break, we're going to wrap things up with Yankton Bucks and Gazelles cross country here. And we'll also talk competitive cheer and dance. We'll wrap up both of them, go to break, come back, and have YHS Nation to conclude things here on Huddling with the Herd. Yankton Cross Country took 3rd in the girls' race and 4th in the boys' race at the ESD conference meet last Saturday in Mitchell. The Gazelles were led by all ESD honoree Nora Yeomans, who placed 12th overall. Also for the Gazelles, Avery Woosterwald finished 20th, Abby Johannesson placed 22nd, Ryland Jackson finished 23rd, and Delaney Yeomans took 29th. The Bucks had 2 all-ESD honorees on Saturday. Harrison Kraske placed 11th, followed closely by Brighton Olson in 12th. Rounding out the race for the Bucks, Luke Feimer was 17th, Gabe Rock placed 19th, and Isaac Paulson finished 33rd. This past Thursday, Yankton was supposed to have their regular season finale in Huron, which would be the site of the state tournament next week, but that was canceled due to rain. So now Yankton is off until those state championships on October 25th. That's next Saturday in Huron at Broadland Creek Golf Course. Good luck to the Bucks and Gazelles cross-country teams and next week's state championships. Also coming up on their state championships are the competitive cheer and dance squad. Yankton finished 3rd and 4th, respectively, at Thursday's ESD championship meet for competitive cheer and dance in Brookings. Yankton Dance edged out Pierre on a tiebreaker to take the number 3 spot. The Gazelles posted 37 standings points, led by a second-place finish in the Palm category. The Gazelles cheer squad posted a score of 245 to finish fourth in the ESD. Harrisburg claimed the cheer title with a dominant score 295.5. Next up for both teams, like I said, is the state championships coming up next week in Watertown. Congratulations on a good finish at the ESD Conference Championships for competitive cheer and dance for Yankton, and good luck at next week's state tournament. When we come back, we'll have YHS Nation here on the station. Scotty Borman was able to talk to Angela Larson, the choral director at Yankton High School and in the Yankton School District as a whole. Just talking to her about the program. I know they had their first concert not too long ago as well. So that's coming up on YHS Nation to conclude things here on Huddling with the Herd. Back in about 90 seconds for that.
Attention everyone. Health insurance open enrollment on the marketplace is happening now, November 1st to December 15th. This is your chance to review your plan, explore new options, and make sure you and your family have the coverage you need for the year ahead. Call me, Jen Great, with Missouri River Associates today. I can help you navigate the marketplace and find the plan that fits your needs. 665-6885. Don't wait. Open enrollment ends December 15th.
At Vision Care Associates, we're always improving our technology for the health of your eyes. With OptiMap dilation-free exams, you get a comprehensive view of your retina without the need for dilation eye drops. It's quick, easy, and best of all, it keeps your day interruption-free. OptiMap captures a detailed image of your eye, helping to detect any problems. No blurriness, no discomfort, just clear, precise results. Book your OptiMap exam now.
Vision Care Associates, where the health of your eyes comes first.
Credit union people are my people. Dreaming big, keeping life simple. Saving smart, living free. At Explorers Credit Union, you're just like me. We chart new trails, we stand tall. Together we rise, together we call. Credit union people are my people, it's true. And I found my crew at Explorers CU. Federally insured by NCUA. Visit ExplorerCU.com to join the journey today.
Welcome back in here on YHS. Huddling with the Herd, but it's time for YHS Nation. I'm getting my shows mixed up. I digress. YHS Nation, now a part of Huddling with the Herd, used to also kind of coincide on Saturday mornings, but now a part of Huddling with the Herd this year. And Scotty Borman got a chance to talk to Angela Larson for this week's YHS Nation interview about the Yankton Choral Program. I know they had their first concert not too long ago, so might hear a bit about that and what's coming up for the chorus. Let's go to that interview now, here for YHS Nation on Huddling with the Herd.
Good morning, YHS Nation. This is Scotty Borman for KYNT News, and this morning I'm with Angela Larson, who is the vocals coach for YHS. So first off, Angela, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great.
Okay, yeah. Excellent. So vocals, all these singers that you get to make sure their performances are up to YHS standards, correct?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about who's in the vocals program, who's singing for you, and what you got going on.
Sure. So we have 4 choirs here at the high school, and we have 3 that perform in concerts, and that is about 150 kids between those 3 choirs. And we just had our first concert of the year on Monday, and I thought it went really well. It was just our fall concert, and just a great way to get that first performance under our belt and move forward on what's coming up next. So
okay.
It was good.
So what is coming up now? What you got on the calendar for these kiddos?
Well, some of them are working on getting ready for All-State Choir, which is at the end of the month, October 31 through November 1. 16 of our kids from the high school will go to Sioux Falls, and they get to sing with other kids from around the state. There'll be a guest conductor, and they will have prepared up to 8 pieces of music to rehearse and put together with this big group. And the orchestra plays, the South Dakota All-State Orchestra plays on a couple pieces with them. So that's a really exclusive group and very talented.
Okay,
so
excellent.
That's the very next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the bigger group of kids at the high school here, our holiday concert in December is our next big performance, so December 15th.
Right here at the high school?
Yep.
Awesome. And I remember my sister, way back in the day, she's a doctor now, but she participated in all-state chorus and everything. I was not blessed with that talent. I obey the Lord by making a joyous noise unto the Lord. So for those of us that aren't able to sing, how would you suggest those of us that like to enjoy the rapture of good music, how can we come and enjoy what you and your kids are able to put out for us?
Well, I think just attending our events is the best way to support us and take it in. And all of our concerts at the high school, or in their school district rather, are free. So they're open to the public. And really anyone can sing. I think we're all born with some musical aptitude. It's just a matter of tapping into that at a young age and getting comfortable with it. So never say never.
I'm pretty old for that now. But it's a lot of fun for the kids to, and a lot of these are young adults now, for them to be able to put some art into no matter what else they do. Like my sister, she's a medical doctor. How does the implementation of art tie into the greater human that we're trying to create here at Yankton High School?
That's a great question. We talk a lot in our choirs about teamwork and how, if one tenor doesn't have their part, none of the tenors have their part. And so, no one gets to sit on the bench if you're having a bad day. We're all part of that team. So I think being part of something bigger is good for their emotional and social self. I also think a lot of them just need a class throughout their day that allows them to kind of decompress, and I think music does that for a lot of them. And I don't think it's stressful, so I think that's good for them. So
Well, you're the teachers, all the answers to the tests, or that type of thing, right?
So I think music really can tap into their intellectual, emotional, social self. So I think it's a great experience for them. Then they don't have to go out and be musicians in the world, but they can become the doctor and still have a lot of success, and music just helps bring out different parts of themselves.
I'm a big believer in any type of art is a good balancing act
makes you a well-rounded human. Absolutely.
Okay. And is there anything else you'd like to say to wrap this up this morning for all our listeners out here?
I think if I could say one thing, it's just I'm really lucky. I have really great students. They are awesome. They are hardworking. They are pleasant to be around, and I hope that everyone can come support them at their concerts and events throughout the year, because they deserve that little attention and love. So I just feel very lucky to be their teacher.
So next two things on their calendar are going to be All-State up in Sioux Falls.
Yep.
Which date again was that?
October 31 and November 1. And the concert on November 1 will be on South Dakota PBS.
Ooh, so check that out.
Yep.
If not, go in person.
Yep.
I'm assuming you got to pay to get into that, but
it's at the
not.
Denny Premier Center. Yep.
Yeah. Still affordable entertainment. So.
Yes, absolutely.
And then come here for the holiday concert for free.
Yep, December 15th.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Angela.
Yeah, thank
Angela, this is Scotty Borman for KYNT.
Big thanks to Scotty Borman for getting that interview with Angela Larson, talking about the choral program. Good luck to all Yankton High School students that are involved in All-State Choir coming up at the end of the month. That's going to do it for this week's edition of Huddling with the Herd on KYNT and KYN-TV. Big thanks to all the coaches who took time out of the day to talk to us here for the show this week. Congrats to all the Bucks and Gazelles and their athletic seasons, whether they're ongoing or wrapped up, as we're getting down to the end of the fall year here on KYNT and KYN-TV. Big thank you to Explorers Credit Union for helping make this broadcast possible, and a thank you to Pizza Ranch for not only sponsoring our Pizza Ranch phone line, but providing pizzas this morning for the coaches that came in. They cleared us out today. There were 2 slices left, so I get to enjoy 2 slices on my way out the door, but a big thanks to everybody involved. This has been Huddling with the Herd here on KYNT and KYN-TV. Until next week, stay safe, be good people, and we'll talk at you later. Have a great weekend, everybody.
KYNT, Yankton, FM 1021 and AM 1450.